the primary thing happening in the world today is an inflationary monetary policy running into technology that's increasingly deflationary. So that imagine what would happen in that as governments push up printing presses and drive inflation more and more and more. What would a business driving their own rational business do? Wouldn't they try to remove labor faster with technology? So what you're finding is the policy is designed. You have two forces colliding into each other, and each one is moving faster and faster in opposing directions. I am not saying that someday we don't get to hyperinflation, but by stepping into that trap with central bankers, and what will happen is they will be more right because technology will drive out labor faster and remove the cost faster. It'll make it look like they have more room. When they do that, it will give them, essentially you're concentrating more power in the state. So I try to stay away from that debate in the way that people are talking about the debate, because I'm looking at the structural issues that are happening to society. And there's no way to stop those structural issues from a system that requires inflation.
So let's look at the chips market for a second, microchips. So certainly they've been deflating in price through technological advancements for 20, 30 years, and that's a main component of this technological wave. It's always about storage, processing, and transmission, right? Those are the three main components of this technological age we live in. Now what's happening is the chips are running out of supply. So the supply is not happening due to a lot of reasons, primarily because the world's economy are breaking down due to malinvestments, due to money printing, and that's causing inflation. So chip prices, they're not around, you can't buy them. The chips they're out of chips, you can't get chips. So General Motors and other, they're not making cars. They're saying we can't make the cars, and the price of those cars, the ones that are available for even used cars, are above new cars. So the car market's in backwardation, if you will. So that's inflation brought on by money printing malinvestments and chip shortage. So the question is that I see the scenario of that asymptotic curve of prices going to zero for all things technology, which is deflationary. But it seems to have hit a brick wall here, because all of that malinvestment that comes with all the money printing has now caused logistical breakdowns and real inflation. So how do you square the circle?
So that is all correct, and it's actually way more correct than I think. So you're looking at one example, but the same thing could be said for housing, same thing could be said for oil, same thing could be said for every other asset on the planet today. And so what happens is a byproduct of what you just said. So those prices go up, there becomes a shortage in the market, prices go up higher. What would happen? What would the free market do? Now you can make money on those chips. So more chips will come online as a result, bringing prices back down. So you get these transitory effects of short-term supply disruptions caused by the same thing, caused by the money printing, that makes it look like, oh wow, we're still living in that same world, which causes it to go faster through on the other side of it. And again, reinforcing the other point, concentrating more power in government by doing it. So causing prices to go up, and then going to the governments to say, save us from the prices going up. If you have abundance in money, you have scarcity everywhere else. Or if you have scarcity in money, you'll have abundance everywhere else. That is the world, that's the transition of a world we're moving into. But we've never been there before. This transition to digital is way more powerful than most people know. It's not just in the microprocessors and everything else. The AI, robotics on top of that create labor savings. And those labor savings create deflationary pressures. And governments could fight that all they want. You're right, what they're doing, but the byproduct of fighting it is holding prices high so that more people can't pay for those prices. Food prices up, oil prices up, more people can't pay for their gas, more people can't. And so then they go to the exact same government who created the problem in the first place and say, save us, we need money to live. And we don't understand that you caused the problem in the first place. So you have a system trying to stop the system. The only thing I don't agree with, or potentially don't agree with what you're saying, Max, is this could go on for a long time. But the only way it could go on, there's two paths. Centralize all government with AI and robotics and have every decision in the state. And it could go on for a long time. And that is the path we're on. More and more government spending, more and more. And the population will reach for those same people that say, save us from the problem you said. And the population would likely do that. The second thing is war and reset, which we've seen through history. And the third is Bitcoin, a path to humanity's abundance through a new currency regime that is not able to be manipulated.
All right, let's talk about Bitcoin for a second, because now we have a real life example of a country adopting Bitcoin as legal tender. That would be El Salvador. What I noticed is immediately became a circular economy. People are earning and spending in Bitcoin. People are now opting out of a lot of the problems that come from a central bank printing lots of money. And I immediately noticed a few things. One, the Bitcoin ATM machines are now moving to be produced in El Salvador. So that's hard manufacturing. Those are manufacturing jobs. Those are going to be better paying jobs in El Salvador than they've had in quite some time. Two, property prices are going up. Would speak to a certain GDP growth happening in the country. Is that what we can look forward to on a more global basis if we drop this fiat money standard and apply a Bitcoin standard? Then your thesis about deflation becomes more of a net positive, I would say, in terms of the quality of life, right? Because we don't mind deflation in the terms of quality of life. You know, the fact is that over the years, things that used to cost a lot of money are cheaper now. You know, we don't have to buy a horse and feed a horse and stable a horse and breed horses. We can buy a car and it'll last for 20 years. It runs on cheap gas. I mean, that's a productivity gain that everyone benefited from through the deflation in transportation costs. So that's a positive deflationary loop. Now, in El Salvador, do we see these forces coming together and showing a future where what you've been writing about and talking about in Bitcoin are blended into something that we could call a model of the future?
The free market has finally come for money, and that's what Bitcoin is. And as a byproduct of that, you're not going to have misinformation in money and then misinformation everywhere else in your economies. Because that's really what's happening. When you manipulate money, you create misinformation in money. Money is just an abstract concept. And when you have misinformation there as a byproduct, you have misinformation everywhere else. Bitcoin solves that. And what you're seeing in El Salvador is you're seeing the free market race to adopt it.